Toto Wolff and Mercedes-AMG F1 chose to dine with the devil in Abu Dhabi, and subsequently dropped the Lewis Hamilton appeal. Given that Mercedes had already secured their 8th consecutive constructors' title by that time, it would appear that it was comparatively easy for the devil to tempt them into abandoning the appeal for Lewis Hamilton's 8th title. Perhaps Toto and Mercedes felt that they were relatively safe, because they dined with the devil using a long spoon, and it was only Lewis they were selling out. They forgot, or chose to ignore the old adage that those who dine with the devil always end up on the menu. However, the way this season has been going for Toto and Mercedes suggests that they were ill-advised to have offered Hamilton up to Liberty Media, as they themselves are now being served up on this year's menu. Before highlighting Toto and Mercedes' schadenfreude, it is important to acknowledge that the Latifi crash which brought out the safety car in Abu Dhabi was the devil's own luck. Liberty Media took that unexpected and unplanned opportunity to rob Lewis. What are those who are willing to rob Lewis in broad daylight, willing to do under the cover of new regulations in their openly declared objective to stop Lewis and Mercedes? It is indisputable that, in robbing Lewis, Liberty Media acted in extremely bad faith, by rigging the result, and denying the subsequent protests by Mercedes. Their bad faith was further exacerbated by their subsequent refusal to apologize to Hamilton, in the wake of their reluctant admission that Marcy had erred, and restore his victory and title. At all times, before and after Abu Dhabi, Liberty Media have sought to portray Lewis Hamilton as a sore loser, rather than a wronged champion. Interestingly enough, pre-Abu Dhabi, Toto and Lewis held the view that there was bias against Mercedes. However, after the Abu Dhabi dinner, Toto reversed himself and declared that there was no bias against Mercedes. It is conceivable that Toto, the newly converted Liberty Media disciple, basking in the auto-satisfying euphoria of an 8th consecutive title, rightly expected that Mercedes would be competitive this year, under a new set of regulations. It is also understandable that pre-season, Lewis dismissed any notion that Mercedes could have made a mistake in building his 2022 car. However, given their previous track record, and how badly things are going this year, have Toto and Mercedes stopped to consider the possibility that their dramatic swing in fortunes might be due to Liberty Media machination? After all, it is common knowledge that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Perhaps this is how John was able to convince Toto that he was not the ruthless archfiend who had rightly earned the nickname Darth Vader. Perhaps the devil made the wolf aware that the record that Mercedes had secured would shine brighter if the spotlight was not shared with Lewis. Perhaps the devil also showed the wolf all the riches that would be his if he sold Lewis out. Perhaps, basking in his new light as a Liberty Media disciple, Toto is unwilling or unable to consider the possibility that his new besimate, who had taken advantage of the devil's own luck to rob Lewis, could have formulated a fiendish plan pre-Abu Dhabi to ensure the dethronement of both Lewis and Mercedes in the inaugural year of the new regulations that were introduced specifically for that purpose. Now that Toto Wolff's reputation, and that of the Mercedes F1 team, are suffering post-Abu Dhabi, is Toto prepared to leave no stone unturned in the defense of his legacy by not conducting a forensic audit of the process by which his besimate created and implemented the 2022 technical regulations? Are the Mercedes engineers and designers willing to allow their professional reputations to suffer without exploring the possibility that a corrupt Liberty Media that was willing to cheat Lewis openly could have covertly corrupted the implementation of the 2022 regulations to specifically undermine Mercedes? Are the Mercedes customer teams willing to allow their 2022 fortunes to suffer as collateral damage in Liberty Media's nefarious plot to stop Lewis and Mercedes? Are all these different entities willing to go down in history as being unable to conceive of the possibility that a reputedly ruthless Liberty Media could do to them what they did to Lewis Hamilton? Or consider them collateral damage in their much vaunted objective to stop Lewis Hamilton?